Hello and welcome. We are continuing with the history from two. Remember, it is topic one, whereby we are looking at the Iron Age in Central Africa. Iron Age in Central Africa. Remember, in part one, we introduced some of the definitions of terms that we encounter in this topic. And in the second part, we focused on Iron Age sites in Central Africa. For example, in Malawi, we looked at Popo Hill in Rumpi and in Kope Bay in Mangochi. We also looked at Kalambo Falls and Ingombe Irede in Zambia. In Zimbabwe, we looked at Ziwa and Gokomere. So those are some of the major Iron Age sites that we focused on part two. But this time around, we are looking at the major socio-economic activities or economic and political activities associated with the Iron Age sites in Central Africa. So in this part, we are going to look at a number of issues. For example, the main activities that those people who settled in different areas were doing. So look at different items like pottery, fishing, or farming, and many other things. So we are going to see what made those Iron Age people busy. So these are the issues that we are going to look at. So let us be together and move through in this topic. So on the major socio-economic activities and political activities that are associated with the Iron Age sites in Central Africa. So Iron Age brought a number of changes in Central Africa, as we may know. So Iron Age brought some changes in Central Africa. And what are these changes? So we are going to look at some of the things that were brought in, or the changes that were brought in by the Iron Age people. So to begin with, economic activities, because we have said that we are going to look at the economic activities as well as the social activities as well as the political activities. So to begin with, economic activities of the Iron Age people. The first one is trade. So on trade, Iron Age people engaged in trade. They were also participating in trade just as we do these days. So the commonest trade item was ivory. So the Iron Age people embarked on ivory as the commonest trade item. And Zambia and Zimbabwe offered copper and gold respectively. That is, we are saying copper in Zambia and Zimbabwe, gold. While from East Africa, they were getting beads and cowrie shells from there. So these are the things that were mainly being exchanged. So we see there the first trade item we are talking about is ivory, mainly, that the Iron Age people were embarking on. But we have also, you need to take note that we are mentioning of copper and gold in Zambia and Zimbabwe, and cowrie shells from the eastern coast. So these were the trade items that they were embarking on. Now, there were two types of trade. So the first type was internal trade, which took place among the people of Central Africa. And then there was the long distance trade, which took place between Central Africa and East Coast of Africa. The other economic activity was metalworking. So on metalworking, these people, the Iron Age people, they were smelting iron. They were iron smelters. So Iron Age people, they smelted iron ore in furnaces. So the furnaces are what we call nganjo. They make something like a hut, something, but they put a lot of fire there so that they smelt that iron ore. They used to make tools and weapons. So after getting that iron ore, they could make the tools, and those tools were also used for different purposes, and others for weapons. And also on metalworking, they were embarking on copper and gold smelting. So they also embarked on copper and gold smelting. And copper was found in Zambia and in Zimbabwe, while gold was only found in Zimbabwe. So these metals were used for making precious ornaments like earrings, ornaments, and bangles for trade. So they were using these things for trade. The metals were used for precious things, earrings, the bangles, and many others, which they were using for trade. So we have seen there the iron smelting or iron working technology was also part of the activities or economic activities that the Iron Age people were embarking. So we see there to make their or to sustain their living, they embarked on trade. They embarked also on iron working. And the third activity that these people also embarked on was pottery. So pottery has been used by archaeologists to trace the origins of people during the Iron Age period, because its sizes and decorations explain more about the people who made such pots, that it has been concluded that Iron Age people used two roots in Central Africa. So we are saying there that iron pottery, it is the mostly studied artifact by the archaeologists. As a result, it is through the study of these pottery, remains of pottery, that they have traced that the trade or the movements of these Iron Age people were mainly in two routes in Africa. So pottery is relied by archaeologists because it preserves well and does not rot. So as you know, the pieces of these clay pots, if they are buried on the ground, they cannot rot. As a result, it's easy for archaeologists to study them after hundreds of years. And let's look at the use of pottery to Iron Age man. What were they using this pottery? So they were using the pottery for storing grain and water, and also they were using it for cooking. And it was also used by this Iron Age man for trade or as a trade item as well. Those pots, after they were made, they were being sold. And also it was used for religious and marriage ceremonies. So they were carrying those pots to the ceremonies, religious ceremonies, or else during the marriage ceremonies. And it was also used for decoration, to decorate a place. They could use the pottery as well. And what are the common types of pottery that the Iron Age man was using? So the first one is the channeled pottery, So this one, it was called so because of the characteristics, the grooves that decorated it at the rim. So it had the grooves, it was well, it was well grooved, and for decoration, something like that. So because of that, it was called the channeled pottery. So it was the common type of pottery in Central Africa. And the second one is the dimple-based pottery, So this one also, it derives its name from the dimple or depression at the bottom of the pot. So this one, it was somehow different from the channeled one. It had a dimple base or a depression at the base of the pot. So it was also common in East Africa. So while the channeled pottery was common in Central Africa, the dimple-based was common in East Africa. So also there were also other types or other variants of this pottery. So they were the Urewe ware, the Kware ware, the Kinga, and the Kisi ware. So these were not found in large numbers. They were just in small numbers. The Urewe, the Kware, and the Kinga ware. So they were also the types of pottery. So we have seen there the other economic activity, to say Iron Age man also embarked on pot making. They were making pots for different purposes that we have looked at, and also take note of the types of pottery that we have mentioned here. I've said that they were the channeled pottery as well as the dimple based. The channeled pottery, remember that it was common in Central Africa, while the other type, the dimple based, it was common in East Africa. So take note of that. Another activity is farming. So farming was the most important activity in Central Africa. And these Iron Age people, they grew millet, sorghum, beans, and peas. So they used grinding stones for crushing millet into flour. And also the bent millet has been found in some archaeological sites such as the Ziwa. So we have also to know here that the farming is another important activity carried out, or economic activity carried out by these Iron Age people. So we have to take note as well to say we have mentioned of Ziwa. You should remember where Ziwa is found. We mentioned last time that Ziwa is in Zimbabwe, where we talked of Ziwa and Gokomere. So there at Ziwa, archaeologists, they have found the evidence to say, yes, the Iron Age people were growing millet. So iron ore heads and axes from archaeological sites explain that farming took place. So when the archaeologists find some pieces of holes, then they can conclude to say farming was taking place there. So people then started keeping animals such as goats and cattle for milk and meat. So Iron Age people, they were also rearing the animals. And bones of tamed animals such as cattle have proved this. So archaeologists, they have also found the bones. They have found the bones of these animals that we term even today, the cattle and even the goats. Another activity by this Iron Age man was hunting. So hunting was another activity. So with stronger tools, Iron Age people hunted buffaloes, elephants, wild pigs, and many other animals. So here we have also to take note that hunting was also another major activity taken by these Iron Age people. So they were hunting these elephants. They were hunting the wild animals, the buffaloes. And another activity by the Iron Age man was also domestication of animals. Domestication of animals. So permanent settlement made Iron Age people to settle at one place. So permanent settlement produced enough food, hence growth of population. So we see here the domestication of animals. We are saying that the permanent settlement made Iron Age people to settle at one place. Therefore, when they settled at one place, they produced enough food, hence the growth of population. So these two facts made animals to be insufficient near settlement to support people, and they started taming wild animals for milk and meat. So we are saying that as they settled at one place, they needed food, they needed more food. As a result, in the places where they settled there, could see that the wild animals were not enough. As a result, they started taming those wild animals until they become docile, and they start taming them for domestic use. So bones of domesticated animals have been found in many sites in Iron Age in Central Africa, in Iron Age sites in Central Africa. Another activity is fishing. Fishing is another activity carried out by the Iron Age people. So those Iron Age sites that were near water or water sources were engaged in fishing. As you can remember, if you can recall, last time we said they chose to settle in different areas. And why they chose to settle in different areas is because of the needs, maybe the basic needs which they needed. For example, water. They settled near water sources for transportation and again for farming as well. So they did that. So those also who settled near water resources, they were also fishing there. So arrows, spears, poisonous plants, and later on fishing hooks were used for fishing. So what were the fishing materials or fishing tools? We are saying they were using arrows, spears, poisonous plants. Poisonous plants, we mean they were taking maybe the leaves of certain plants and throwing them or pounding them, then throwing them in the water. Then later on, the fish were dying. And later on, we are saying they were using hooks for fishing. So the discovery of fish bones, and fish hooks in the Iron Age sites suggest the idea of fishing. So when archaeologists were studying the places and they found the fish bones and some pieces of hooks there, that's how they concluded that the people who settled here were embarking on fishing. So we have looked at the economic activities that the Iron Age people were doing or were carrying out. So we have looked at a number of them. Take note of what we have discussed: fishing, they were farming, making pots, so that is pottery and trade. So take note how these things were being carried out to on economy or to sustain their economy. That is the Iron Age people. So now let us look at the social activities, of the Iron Age people. Number one is the building of huts or houses. So man stopped wandering and built conical huts with sticks and plastered with mud or cow dung, and they thatched with grass. So if you can recall, in Form 1, we looked at the origins of man and when man started to live a settled life. We talked about it to say now, at first man was wandering from one place to the other, but later on, due to the scarcity of materials, then they started living at one place for quite long. Then civilization started. Then, due to that, how could they live at one place? Therefore, they started making or building houses. So that's what we are saying here, that they stopped wandering and built conical huts with sticks and plastered with mud or cow dung, and they thatched with grass. So they made those from mud, sticks, and cow dung. They were mixing the cow dung, then they could plaster the walls of their conical huts. So artifacts such as paws, mud imprinted dagger have been discovered in certain Iron Age sites. So another activity or social activity is the ancestral religions. So people also worshipped the powers of nature. So those Iron Age people who settled in different areas, they were worshipping the powers of nature. So this has been discovered through the discovery of pottery in places where they offered their ceremonies to the spirits of their ancestors. So archaeologists have discovered to say, yes, religion was taking place. By the way, religion somehow is difficult to trace because it is a immaterial culture. But the presence of some materials in places where maybe that place was not settled, or maybe it was just a place maybe near rocks or under certain trees, then the archaeologists have concluded to say these people were worshipping at this place. Therefore, what were they worshipping? Maybe the ancestral spirits. However, the type of religion is not known. So there then we have to know that much as we conclude that the Iron Age people were religious people, but their type of religion was not known or is not known because it's immaterial culture. You cannot trace how people were praying. You cannot trace how people were singing during those times because they are all dead. We don't have them now. Therefore, the songs they were singing or the rituals, we cannot trace them because they are the immaterial culture. Now, let us come to the end by looking at the political activities that the Iron Age people were carrying out. First is a permanent settlement. So on the political activities, the Iron Age people embarked on permanent settlement. So farming provided enough food and hence no need for wandering and built permanent settlement that needed leaders. So as the people stopped wandering, moving from place to place, they now settled at one place for quite long. Now, when their communities were growing, now they needed some people to lead them. So just that one is just normal. Man always needs someone to lead when the community is big. That's why even in a classroom setting, we have the class prefects, the monitors, and the like. Why? Because when we have a large community, we always need someone to be a leader so that everything is guided well. So it also happened during the Iron Age people that they needed leaders as they settled for quite long at one place. Another activity is governance. Another activity, political activity, is governance. Now, governance involved sharing land for cultivation and even trade, and maybe even settling the disputes within the area or the settlement. So we see to it that governance is another important aspect whereby the Iron Age people were also embarking on it. Now, to this far, we have come to the end of this part where we were looking at the major activities. So we have looked at the socio-economic, political activities that these people were embarking on. So we have looked at a number of issues on economy, such as trade. We have looked at on political, these people, they embarked on a number of things, settlement, building of houses and the like. They were embarking on those issues. And the social activities as well, we looked at it to say they were also embarking on worship of the ancestors. So this has been another good part that we have gone through. So it's just a matter of you going through again and again and mastering whatever is there. So in the next period, we are going to look at the remarkable changes that were brought in by the Iron Age man or the Iron Age people in Central Africa. We'll look at what are the real changes that even today we are using those things that were started by the Iron Age people. So next time we are going to look at that thing. So until that time, Thank you, sir.
Simutaya nthawi yanu kufunafuna maphunziro, muzakhala wotumidwa moyo wanu wonse. Ngati simuphunzira, anthu azingokutumani. Ajala kalime, ajala kuchwe manyazi, ajala katende yanti, ndipo anthu ophunzira wandu wotuma so kwambiri. Ndiye ngati simuphunzira, skulu akuyikirani apa, mukhala otumidwa.